number 51, they ask you to factor the trinomial. Now what you want to look for in most of these first ones, if they have a leading coefficient of 1, so if this is 1x squared, they're really, really easy to do. So in that case, all you have to do is find what do you multiply to get x squared. So it's going to be x and x. For these two, I need two numbers that multiply to give me negative 2 and add up to a positive 1. Alright, so we're looking for two things that multiply to give me a negative 2, that's this last number, and add up to give me a positive 1. There's not a 1 written there, but it's understood. So if you think about your factors of negative 2, the only way I can multiply to get negative 2 is if I do negative 1 and positive 2. That would give me negative 2, or positive 1 and negative 2. So which of these combinations would add up to a positive 1? And it's this first one. A negative 1 times a positive 2 gives me negative 2 and adds to give me a positive 1. So one of these needs to be minus 1 and one needs to be plus 2, and it really doesn't matter which one comes first. All right, 54. T squared minus t minus 6. So again, we put a t here and a t here. I need two numbers that multiply to give me negative 6, and this time they need to add up to a negative 1. So I can do negative 1 and 6, or 1 and negative 6. That adds up to 5. This adds up to negative 5. 2 and negative 3. That adds up to a negative 1. So it's going to be plus 2 and minus 3. It doesn't matter which one comes first. 57. 57 is x squared minus 30x plus 200. So x and x. I need two factors of 200 that add up to negative 30. So they've got to multiply to give me positive 200, but add up to be a negative. So these are both going to be negatives. So you could do like negative 1 and negative 200. That's not going to work. How about negative 10 and negative 20? Those multiply to give me 200, and they add together to give me negative 30. That's it right there. Negative 10, negative 20. Number 60. 2x squared minus x minus 1. This is a little bit different. I can't just put x and x like I did. I have to have this 2x squared. So 2x squared is going to be 2x times x. That's how I get 2x squared. And then to get 1, it's going to be 1 and 1. But I need my outers and my inners to add up to a negative 1. So one of these has to be a plus and one of these has to be a minus. So if you think about it, do you want this? This would be 1x and this would be 2x. If I want them to add together to get a negative 1, this is going to have to be the negative so that it's a minus 2x. And this is going to have to be a positive so that it's plus 1x. So let's check it out. 2x times x is 2x squared. My outers would be minus 2x. My inners would be plus 1x. So these add up to a negative x. And then 1 times negative 1 is minus 1. So that works out to what I started with. All right, number 63. 63 is negative 9z squared plus 3z plus 2. I don't like for the first term to ever be negative. So I'm going to take a negative out to start with and make this 9z squared minus 3z minus 2. And I'm going to factor this, what's left. Okay. 9z squared. I'm going to try some different things here. In fact, I'm going to do this by grouping. Might be the easiest way for you guys if you can't see the factors to start with. So let's try this. What you can do is you can multiply the first number times the last number. 9z squared times minus 2 is minus 18z squared. So I need two factors that multiply to give me negative 18 and add up to negative 3z. How about 6 and 3? Negative 6z and positive 3z. So I'm going to rewrite this trinomial, and it becomes 9z squared minus 6z plus 3z minus 2. I just replaced this minus 3z because this is equal to minus 3z. So now I'm going to factor by grouping. Don't forget you got a negative out in front here. So out of the first two, I can take out 3z, and that leaves me with 3z minus 2. And out of the last two, they don't have anything in common, so I'm going to put a 1 times 3z minus 2. I've got a negative out in front. I've got 3z minus 2 is my common factor between this, and that leaves me with 3z plus 1 is my other factor from here and here, and that's how this factors. All right, problem 66, factor by grouping. We kind of did a little bit of factoring by grouping in that problem, so I thought it was probably the easiest way. X cubed plus 5x squared minus 5x minus 25. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to draw a little line down through here. Out of the first two, I take out an x squared. If I take an x squared out, it's going to leave me with x plus 5. Out of the last two, I can take a negative 5 out. Negative 5x divided by negative 5 is x. Negative 25 divided by negative 5 is positive 5. So what's in common between these two is x plus 5. What is left over is the term here, which is x squared, and then minus 5. And that's as simplified as it gets. X squared minus 5 doesn't factor because it's not a difference of two squares. All right, problem 69. Well, it'd help if I didn't have something written up here. Problem 69. Okay, 6 plus 2x minus 3x cubed minus x to the fourth. Okay. All right, out of first two, I can take out a 2, and that leaves me with 3 plus x. Out of the last two, I can take out a negative x cubed. Negative x cubed times 3 would give me a negative 3x cubed, and then plus x would give me negative x to the fourth. So what they have in common is 3 plus x, and what's left over is 2 minus x cubed. Problem 72. 72 I thought was a little, someone asked me about it in class, and the thing that made 72, let me get this back out of the way, maybe, 72 kind of hard to do is that it wasn't written in order, and then when you try to factor it, nothing would work out right when the person was trying it. So what I would do here, because if you look at, I don't know, looks to me like it'd be okay, but I think when they were trying they couldn't get it to work out. If it doesn't work out right, I would suggest rewriting it in descending order or ascending order so that you get it. But this looks like it'll be okay. Okay, out of the first two, I'm going to take out a 2x squared, and that would leave me with 4x cubed minus 3. And now the last two, I'm going to take out a 3 plus 3, and that leaves me with 4x cubed minus 3. So my common factor would be 4x cubed minus 3, and my other factor would be 2x squared plus 3, and that is completely factored. All right, 75, they want me to factor that by grouping. So I'm going to start out, here's what I've got, 6x squared plus x minus 2. I'll multiply the first times the last. That's negative 12x squared. I need two factors that'll add up to a positive 1x. So I got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4 would probably do it. How about a negative 3x and a positive 4x? That adds up to 1x and multiplies to give me negative 12x squared. So I'm going to rewrite this, but instead of x, I'm going to put minus 3x plus 4x because that's the same thing as x. Now I can factor by grouping. Out of the first two, take out a 3x, and I get 2x minus 1. Out of the last two, take out a 2, and you get 2x minus 1. So what they have in common is 2x minus 1, and what's left over is 3x plus 2. That's how it factors. I'll do one more. 78. 78 is 12x squared minus 13x plus 1. 12x squared times 1 is 12x squared, right? I need two factors that add up to negative 13x. So 1 and 12, 2 and 6, it looks like it's going to be 1 and 12. Negative 1x and negative 12x. So rewrite it. Instead of minus 13x, write minus 1x and minus 12x, and it doesn't matter what order you put it in. I'm going to put it in minus 1x first. So out of the first two, I can take an x out, and that leaves me with 12x minus 1. Out of the last two, I'm going to take out a negative 1. There's nothing in common, but if your third term is negative, you always take out a negative. So that's going to be 12x minus 1, because negative 12x divided by negative 1 is 12x, and 1 divided by negative 1 is minus 1. So in common is 12x minus 1, and what's left is x minus 1. All right, I'm going to stop it right there and pick up with 81 next.